Please come to the podium.
One of the most crucial aspects of Darwin's unifying theory of evolution is genetic variation. Genetic variation is, in simple terms, the diversity of traits among all members of the population. Without it, every animal of the species would be exactly the same. When animals reproduce, they pass down genes to their offspring. Genetic variation increases the fitness of the population, and it does it in two ways: sexual recombination and random mutation. In essence, genetic variation is what makes every one of us unique. Survival of the fittest. This quote, often misattributed to Charles Darwin, sums up this theory very well. But the definition of the fittest bear isn't the strongest and the largest. It's the bear most likely to reproduce. So, a bear that was the strongest in the forest, but infertile, would be less fit than a small weak bear that was. These differences in traits are caused by genetic variation. A gene, a winding strand of DNA, encodes for every single one of an animal's traits using a sequence of base pairs: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, or just A, T, G, and C. Each order of base pairs leads to a different variation of a trait, whether it's to make a moth black or white. Genetic variation lets species be more adaptable to sudden changes in the environment, like in this moth example. Before the Industrial Revolution, the ground was mostly light colored, so predators ate more black moths since they were easier to see. As a result, the percentage of white moths in the population began to grow, since white moths were more likely to pass on their genes. But after the Industrial Revolution, the ground became darker. Predators began to eat more white moths, and the percentage of black moths began to grow. Without genetic variation, all the moths might have been eliminated by predators, since they would have all been very visible either before or after the Industrial Revolution. Their genetic diversity allowed them to bounce back in numbers. But there's one particular species you might be hesitant to call unfit: the cheetah. They don't fit the conventional mold. They're fast, strong, and athletic. The species, however, due to its dwindling population, has extremely low genetic variation. This means that every cheetah is nearly identical. If a new disease appeared that could kill one cheetah, it would be very likely that it could kill every cheetah on the planet. Genetic diversity leads to one of the most important factors of species survival: disease resistance. The most well-known disease-resistant species is on you right now. Hand soap and hand sanitizer claim to kill 99.99% of germs on your hands. However, the 0.01% will live on and pass on the resistance to following generations. This is most problematic with diseases and viruses that, over time, through the overuse of antibiotics, become resistant. Their genetic variation allows the species to keep bouncing back, perpetually a plague on the human race. The next question is how they do it, keeping up this genetic variation. The most common way in animals with a long reproduction cycle is sexual recombination. This is when offspring inherits half of its genes from each parent. The previous model explained this with having the blending of traits from each parent. The most common way for a species that has a short reproduction cycle is mutation, which is basically random changes in the base order of A, T, C, and G. These mutations take many forms. Deletion is when base parts are lost from the sequence. Shifting is when bases are switched around. A section of pairs can be cut and attached on the other end. While the chance of error while copying genes to pass on to offspring is low, the probability of it happening grows exponentially as bacteria divide into millions in just 1 hour, which is why diseases can quickly develop resistance. These two methods, the first intentional and the second unintentional, lead to all of the genetic variation in our diverse biosphere today. as wolves evolved into the loyal man's best friend, as random bunches of molecules became organisms, and early Neanderthals evolved into a wise man Homo sapiens. Genetic